Okay, this video is going to be a real special one for people who are thinking of becoming an engineer, especially want to join the A&R mentorship program. So we've got Marius Campelas. He's in his journey going through the mentorship program now, and we've got a few students in the room as well who's actually undertaking their training too. So they're maybe about 3 months behind Marius. So what we're going to do is have a bit of an update how he's doing in his development, and he'll tell in his own words what he's learned, what he's discovered, and hopefully he's happy with what he's doing. So, all right, Marius, so just explain to us, you've been doing quite a lot of jobs on your own now.
Yeah.
You've been out there and managing all sorts of different situations.
Yeah.
So we had a special job yesterday, and which was, well, let you tell me, what happened on that particular job.
Okay. Well, it was. I thought it was a straightforward job. I swapped for an immersion heater, but then when I arrived to site, I said, open the drain cup, open the PIVs, no draining. So what do I do? I haven't had enough experience to really know exactly what was wrong. So I thought I looked at the boiler, for about 15 minutes trying to figure out what is happening, and then the customer said, "Is everything okay?" And so you have to sort of compose yourself. You say, "Yeah, sure. Just need to drain the boiler." And it was draining. But do it calmly, without showing that okay, well, I'm not sure how to do it properly, and you just compose yourself, and then you just move on. And then I thought, oh my God, I need to text Tony. I don't want to interrupt him because he's in training. So I thought, oh my God, what do I do? And I started sort of getting frustrated, really frustrated. So I went out. I thought I'll take myself out a little bit, just to say, calm down a little bit. But the nerves started sort of playing, and I thought, oh my God, what do I do now? So, and in that moment, when I asked myself that question, what do I do now? I thought, hang on, I spoke with Tony about how people get really frustrated in situations and start panicking. Yeah. And I thought, oh, hang on, what do I do now? Okay, well, let's just calm myself down and think, right, so I've had this conversation with Tony. I know that, if I carry on like that, the customer will feel uncomfortable with me, and they will not trust me anymore. So I thought, okay, well, go back and study the boiler again. So, okay, how does it work? So the conversations that we had with Tony again, like I've seen other videos and things. Okay, so what if I crack that nut at the top, because that's where hot water goes? So I opened it up, it all started draining, and I thought, oh my God, that's fantastic, So I thought that was the best sort of experience, like kind of cathartic. And then when the customer came again to check again, so is everything okay? I said, yeah, sure. We just need to wait for the boiler to drain. It takes a bit longer than usual because there's a lot of water in there. And we started talking about the system. I explained what it was, and the customer was happy. He wasn't challenging me. He understood. He was comfortable with me explaining things to him, even though I got frustrated during the process. So I thought, if I hadn't stopped, I asked that question, if I hadn't this experience of Tony coaching me on previous occasions, I wouldn't have been able to get myself out from that frustration. So that was one experience that I had yesterday.
Okay, so you've then proceeded with the job. So how did that go after that? Was that the main thing of that, or was there any
No, no.
anything went okay after that then?
Not really.
Okay.
Well, there were other things that were not right with that boiler. Now, well, it was very difficult because I didn't understand exactly how other things were not right. So I had to explain to the customer. I said, okay, well, there's an expansion vessel that's like too heavy, and I showed a picture, and I took a picture off the back, where it's like falling off, and I said, okay, well, that needs to be addressed because it may fall off, etc. And then the zone valve was not working. Now, it's a complex system, and when you're new, it's challenging. So I left the customer to, the customer went back to doing his stuff, and so I spent some time studying how it works and all pipes and stuff like that. Started reading, like boiler has like definitions on each exit and entry,
Yeah.
and just okay, looked at that. Thought about all the training that Tony has. Well, he actually went through boilers with me on previous occasions, and I used all that knowledge, that's the template, to interpret that new situation based on what I've had before. So that was very, very useful. And I thought without having that support previously, I wouldn't have been able to interpret that new situation correctly, and I would have got frustrated. I would have said to I actually thought about it, saying, look, I can't fix it today, I'll have to come back tomorrow. But these were the thoughts, but I stopped myself at the right point by asking that simple question.
That's what he's saying there. With that foundational training, he was challenged in a lot of areas, but he composed himself. He went back to his basics. Remember what I said? Master the basics, go back to them. That's your foundation, and then you can work from there to overcome the challenges. And that's exactly what he did. So that's a textbook situation of what you've done. I thought it was brilliant what you did there. So that's a bit technical side of stuff. Let's look at the bit more mindset type of stuff. You went to a job, I think on Ideal ICOS, and looks like the PCB had gone. So tell us about that job.
That was a difficult one because I didn't know that was it, the PCB. Like I went in, again, boiler is not firing up. There's no signs of it being on, but I'm not realizing yet because I don't know. It's a complex system. Like with a heat only boiler, and then a cylinder upstairs. So I'll go to the customer, say, oh, is there a cylinder? I say, yeah, sure. I'll go upstairs and there's all sorts of bits and bobs there, and I'm really not sure what it is. So I thought, okay, again, back to the basics. Again, I thought, okay, well, let's just step back and think, what is here? I've seen this before in a similar setting, not exactly that, but again. Right, look at the zone valve. Is it opening and closing? I'm not 100% sure, how to open it or to check to be on or off. Anyway, that's a technical thing. But I've moved on to identify that. I thought it was a possibly zone valve or the PCB. I mentioned that to the customer, and it was. Well, that was closed. I said, look, I'll bring the parts, we'll change them next day. So the next day, I come. So it turns out it's the PCB that's at fault. And, well, I had to replace that. I replaced that. Now, when the customer, after the job, now when I spoke to the customer, it was quite a kind of a challenging situation because the customer started challenging me straight away. Why didn't you tell me the price of the board before? And I thought, oh, really? It was the case. I said, I appreciate what you're saying. And exactly, I used the same sort of training that Tony taught me. I appreciate what you're saying, but the board is quite expensive, and you know it did need replacing, and the now boiler is firing up. We don't need to replace the other part that I mentioned I thought was faulty, because once we fired up the boiler, that opened up. It may have been sticking, so it's all okay. So we're not going to install that bar. And then, okay, well, the customer, okay, all right, fair enough. I said, call the office now and they'll take a payment. So I set up the invoice, and then because it was like quick, and I called Carla, the lady in the office, and I said, I think it's 373.20. The customer goes, you think? I thought, no, it is 373.20. And she said, okay, fine. You know, I gave her the phone. I said, and she goes, I'll put the conversation on the speakerphone. So, and then she had a conversation. So I heard. So she was really kind of cautious, and she needed that certainty. And the language I used, I noticed that on previous occasions as well, but the very language, so I think is completely wrong. You have to be certain. And if you need some time, you know, if you're not sure, if you know that you're not going to be able to say it correctly, just take your time. So, okay, well, let me just check something else, you know, upstairs, or, you know, just remove yourself from that situation, rehearse it, come back, and be certain, like 100%, this is it. No, don't say I think, or maybe that. You know, there are possibilities, you know, where you say, okay, this or that, not maybe. You know, this or that. So it's like you're not narrowed down. You really are specific about the problem, because you only arrive to that by doing some tests, and you'll figure that. But the language you use, customers want that certainty. Never I think, never maybe. Well, don't use that language. If you think it's two parts that are faulty, you say this or that specifically, because, and then because, and explain why. And never maybe, never I think, because that creates uncertainty.
Exactly. That's what we said. That's what we said the other day, didn't we?
Yep.
Same thing. Excellent. So you're getting a masterclass training. Well done. Well done. So did the customer say something else about, you know, I think you rang them, phoned them on the phone. We always, when we're on the job, or going to the job, we always communicate with the customer. Remember I said about communicating effectively. So explain about that one.
So the same customer?
Yeah, when you made a phone call that
Okay.
you was on your way.
Well, I called the customer, and so I greeted them. I said, you know, good morning. It is Michelle, Melanie. It wasn't, I believe. And she says, "Is this Tony? Are you teasing me?" I thought, no. This is Marius from in our boilers. And I thought, you know, why did she think that I was Tony? And then it clicked, because the way Tony greets customers, and I remember picking up that from his conversation that he recorded before, and then spending like a month with Tony, like the way he greets, and then she thought that Tony put on an accent. So it was an interesting experience.
Well, that's it. because, you know, they're used to this type of behaviour, this type of standard of way to communicate. So, because if there was any different, she would know straight away, no, it's not Tony that. Because she's used to that level of communication, the way it's done. So he just repeated that using the success formula. That's what he's just shown you time after time, and he's got him through all the problems. He's stayed on that path, not deviate from the training. That's what it means. That's reality of what we say works. Okay, so any more just to wrap up? I'll tell you what, if you want to ask some questions because we spoke about this, so you can ask him, how did he pull it off? Anyone?
What was your background before coming to Tony? I mean, did you have any, plumbing and heating or gas or boiler experience or anything?
No, I was teaching. I was a teacher.
Oh, you were a teacher?
Yes.
Wow, completely different.
I was a teacher, and then I thought, okay, I know how to. Well, I knew how to replace a radiator, but that's about that's about it. But anyone can do it. Like we're teaching themselves online. But that was it. And then so I came across Tony. In fact, it was quite funny. My wife told me, how come this worked out? I said, I don't know. I just found Tony on YouTube. I rang him. Well, I rang the office. Very difficult to get through. And eventually, he called me back, and I thought, wow, okay. And then he gave me this chance to go on his gas portfolio. And so we spoke, and I thought, oh, this guy is really into self-development, developing others. And I thought, there's something really interesting. And I tried to ring, email multiple companies, 20 at least. One guy came back, was quiet, and it's quiet now, and I'm going on holiday now. He was kind of trying to be polite, but in fact he just didn't want to help. So, and then I came back. I said, Tony, when I'm ready, because you have to go through the ACS process and all that. It took me a bit of time, but once I completed that, look, I want to book up. He says, you've got to leave a deposit, and so I said, yes, I'm going to join, and I haven't regretted so far. So that was the kind of long answer to your big question about that.
Good. Anyone else?
So what advice would you give us as someone that's very similar to yourself, from not a boiler background?
Yeah.
Technical, little bit tiny, yes,
Yeah.
but not from a heating or boiler background.
Well, listen to your coach. He'll tell you exactly what you need to think about when you start, because every situation will be new. You won't know, so it's those bits at the beginning. That's the best you could do. Just listen. Forget what went on or what you think. Keep the straight line. You at the beginning. You won't be able. If you veer off that, you'll get yourself into a twist, and you'll go that spiral without realizing that it could be a very, very simple problem, but you're making it very, very big. Just stick to the coaching, and but I'm saying that because but you have to choose the right coach. Not everyone will guide you the right way, you see, because as I mentioned, Tony was like a very big chance for me, and I thought big opportunity rather than a chance, because I knew he was into self-development. I knew he was into developing other people. And that's why I chose Tony. I could have, kept trying and trying and trying, maybe, but I don't think so, because it just didn't work out. But that's what it is. Choose the right coach, and just do what the coach says at the very beginning. Then you'll sort of work out, okay, well, I'm a bit more confident now. You may be able to, interpret situation. Well, you will be able to interpret situations later on, without, direct input, but from the coach. But you'll use the previous experience, to help you there. I hope that helps. That's how I see it.
And
So you started 3 months back at this with Tony.
Yeah.
And now after 3 months, from 1 to 10, when you look it back,
Yeah.
where are you now in confidence, competence level? 1 to 10.
Okay. So imagine a scenario. You walked into a premise, right? As a floor standing boiler, oldest gas valve you can see. There's like bits and bobs in this of no boiler room. What is this? Now, I came across a situation like that on my own. So that was like mid training when I was on my own. So let's say a month. I'm here. So now I'm here, but in this situation, I thought, oh my God. Inside, I didn't express that to the customer. Again, now you have to say to the customer, okay, right, let me just explore. I'll find out, what's wrong with it, and I'll get back to you. I said, oh, can I leave you? Sure, thank you. They'll offer you a brew, so would you like a cup of tea? Yes, please. Milk, no sugar, or whatever you drink, coffee, etc. So they'll go and make a tea, or coffee, and come back. Gives you some time, space to think. Don't jump to conclusions, because you already know from ACS. If you have passed it, you've already kind of halfway. So in terms of understanding, but without coaching, you won't be able to apply it. So then I thought, okay, what do I do? Right, rang Tony. It was like that midway. So I rang. He says, I said, look, I don't know, privately, look, it's a big system. I'm not really sure how to really approach it. He said, okay, well, listen, this is just a normal boiler, and I listened. I can't exactly remember the conversation we had, but I listened to what he told me, and that's it. And the boiler fired up. I thought, okay, well, there's another issue, it's not circulating. So I thought I'll look at the controls, and I said, okay, get back to me, if you get stuck. So with that, support.
That's right.
I thought, okay, I can sort this out. I wouldn't have been able. I would have walked out if I hadn't that support at that stage, where in the mid journey. So for that mid journey now, I can use the experience, the coaching experience, and overcome problems. Yes, I will still get frustrated. I will still get, that's reality. You won't get. You will never be like, okay, yeah, I can just walk in. At that beginning, I'll walk in and I'll sort it out. They'll always be like, oh my God, what is this? But you don't stop those thoughts, and then use the coach or experience with the coach as your template or methodology to go forward. It's as simple as that. Don't complicate it.
Right, I'm going to ask a question. You said that you chose me. One of the big things you chose me for was personal development. Now, personal development is a massive thing to this. because I've always said and always will, I don't just teach body repair. You can go to anyone to get body repair. What I'm teaching is to make you a masterful engineer, and that means personal development. That means working on yourself, building your skills, your people skills, your interactions with people, how you compose yourself, your body language, all that. Because without that, this guy would not have prevailed. He would have collapsed. So it was his personal development side of him, which he's already into, because that's what attracted him to come to me. So we connected quite easily because we're on the same path. So it makes it easier and more speedily for him to develop. So this side of you, this is what the meeting we had before was about. I said it's not just being the best engineer. It's about that development of yourself, becoming the best version of yourself. And it's done that through personal development. So we follow a person called Brian Buffini. Now this guy, I think, is marvellous. He's got a great business model, which bit by bit I'm implementing into what we do. Because like you're following me, and I'm following someone else. And someone else follows him. Because no one doesn't have all the ideas. No one doesn't know it all. So we get ideas and ways of thinking from people, especially from people who've already done it. You're not going to listen to someone who's a failure, who ain't got no money, broke. No one ain't going to bother. You follow someone who's successful, proved it, and especially if they've gone through the worst part and come out the other side. That's the story what I was telling you guys before. That's the story you write for yourself. You come out start struggling. Marius is struggling. He's moving up and up. So this story in 6 months in a different story. Wow, look at me now. I'm here. Same with you. Same with me. We're all the same. So that is your foundation. And it makes it a lot easier. What would you say, Marius?
Oh, I totally agree with what you've just said. I don't want to, repeat what you've said, but, this is exactly it. Exactly it. You follow what has been done before to help you with now, because it's a new situation. You apply, and then once you become a bit more comfortable, you kind of start making your own, develop your start developing. I still don't know what's going to come forward, exactly, because every situation will be new. But I know that with Tony's support, with my own personal development, I know I'll get where I need to get.
That's it. Exactly it. So, on that note, we can end our little meeting, and hopefully you got a lot from what Marius has said. Hopefully it'll help you, and then on watching this video, that we are your right choice at A&R. So thanks for watching and listening, and you guys attending, and we'll see you next time.